Hello everybody, welcome to this video. In this one we're gonna work on service endpoints and storage, securing storage account within Azure. This is a very important lab for you. You have to understand what is a service endpoint, what are public endpoints, what are private endpoints, and how to really secure your storage services. So this lab is pretty long, and it's saying that it's gonna take about 45 minutes, but it could take a little bit longer than this. There are a few things that we're gonna look at. First of all, we're gonna look at storage account for sure, and we're gonna create a storage endpoint. So traffic destined to Azure storage always stays within the Azure backbone network. Meaning, if you don't create the storage endpoint, you will be able to connect to your storage via internet. But if you want to control the traffic, you gotta use the storage endpoint for the traffic to go to your storage account. And that is what is security recommendation. Then we're going to configure a storage endpoint so only resources from a specific subnet can access the storage. So not only we're going to control the storage, the traffic within the Azure backbone, we're also going to say only certain people, certain subnet can access my storage account. And finally, we're going to confirm that resources inside the specific subnet cannot access, outside the specific subnet cannot access the storage. So we're going to test that, make sure our security controls are all working. Now before we start the lab, this is AZ500 series lab, and if you go to the Microsoft Learning GitHub repo, there are multiple repo for AZ500. Some of the repo are really old, and the directions may not match, so we are kind of redoing some of these labs just to make sure that we have the latest updates, and the lab still works. And if you look at it, some of these labs, they were updated about 7 days back, so very recently they have gone through and revised the labs to make sure that they're up to date with the new portal features. So with that, let's get started with the storage account. So the first exercise is create a virtual network, and we have done this before, so it should not be too difficult. So we are gonna go and to our Azure, and we're gonna look for the virtual network resource. And once I get that, we may have, it looks like we don't have any, so we're gonna click one, and we are going to put it under the resource group AZ500 lab 12. So resource group, create new, paste, okay, and the name of that network is my virtual network, and we'll put it under East US, so not West, let's go to East. Okay, now for the IP space, it's already giving me one space and assigning, giving me one default subnet out of this big IP space. So let's see what we need. So in this one, instead we're gonna use 10.0.0.0.16 in my space. Oh, that's the default one, so that's fine. And 10.0.0.0/24, so that looks good. So then that's about it. So we're gonna hit security. We're not going to do anything, tags, nothing, review and create. And as soon as the validation is successful, we're gonna hit create. So that shouldn't take too long at all. It's just momentarily, in a minute, you will have the virtual network ready for you. Excuse me. So that's about it. So you can go to the virtual network. And so we're done with task one. That's great. So next we're going to add a subnet to the virtual network and configure the storage endpoint. So notice that we haven't created any storage account yet, but we are thinking about the security of the storage account. So we are configuring and creating a subnet that we're going to use to connect to the storage account. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go and go to the subnet, go to the virtual network that we created right here, click on the subnet, and we should have only one. We're gonna add a new subnet, and the new subnet we're gonna call a private subnet. Okay, so click, and subnet address 10.0.1.0.24, 10.0.1.0, that's came up by default, so I'm gonna keep that one. Excuse me. excuse me, sorry about that. So in here what we want to do, we are going to enable service endpoint. So here I have nothing. Service endpoints, and we're going to select Microsoft storage. So that is the service that we want to allow, and if you click on it, enable one or more service endpoints for this subnet. So you can get to Microsoft storage accounts from this particular subnet that we are creating, from the private subnet. Okay, now we can hit the add subnet and save. So rest of the option we're going to keep it default and save. That should add the subnet right over here. So we are done with the task 2, excuse me. And okay, it says the virtual network now has 2 subnets, public and private. That means the default one we must have renamed. No, we missed a step most likely. So let's see. So there were create a virtual network, and instead of default they renamed the first one to public. So go back over here. So what we will do, the default one, we're gonna change that name to public. That name cannot be changed. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this address space and then delete the default one and recreate the default one, because that's how they wanted the other subnet to be named as. So let's just delete that one and just create the subnet and just call it public. And the public one, we don't have to do anything. We are not enabling any private endpoints or anything like that. So this one should be good, and that's about it. So we're just gonna create and hit save, and that should take care of creation of the public endpoint. And here I mean the public subnet, this subnet does not have any endpoint enabled, but this one does. If I open up this one is the Microsoft storage service is enabled. But if you go to the public one, we have nothing configured. Right? So come back over here. So make sure that you have a public and a private network. So once that's done, let's configure a network security group to restrict access to the subnet. So what we would do, we will search for network security group, and that one should be similar, and you have done this several times if you following all of the previous labs. So then we're gonna create a network security group. We're gonna call it my NSC private. So my NSC private, and you're gonna put it under the 12 lab. East US is where we want to deploy. That's automatically selected. We're gonna create this network security group. It also takes almost no time to create, so you have it. Got it. It's done. So we can go to the resource, and now it's my NSC private network security group is right here. So we come back over here. Then what we want to do, we want to add some outbound security rules, and this is the rule that we're going to add. So come back over here. Here is my outbound security rule. Click on add, and then we have some configuration that we're going to match with the source is virtual network. So source, so virtual, any Azure virtual network, source port any from any source port, and we're going to look for service tag. So destination is service tag, and we're going to use storage. Okay, now destination port range is also star. And let's see what else do we need to do. So virtual network, source port star, service tag is storage, destination is star, protocol any action allow. So protocol, what is my protocol, is any action allow, and we need a priority number is 1000 1000, and we're gonna name it allow storage all. So name allow storage all. So again, look at what it's doing. It's a rule. So if the traffic is coming from any virtual network within Azure, from any source port, and is trying to go to a storage account with having any ports at all, with using any protocol, you just allow this. Okay, that's how you read it. So hit enter. So we got that one, allow storage all, rule added. Now we're gonna add another rule, and we're gonna deny traffic. So add outbound. So again, do add, and this time again from virtual network, source virtual network, source port is any, and then destination. So if you want to go to service stack, to internet, okay, and then destination port is star. Anywhere you want to go to internet using any protocol, we are going to deny. Using any protocol, we're going to deny the traffic, and this is going to be 1100 up. Sorry, deny internet all is going to be 1100. Okay, so this one I'm going to change this to 1100, and name is deny internet all. So this rule really is going to deny all traffic that is trying to go to the internet, and hit add. So you got both rules in here. Now this rule overrides the default rule in all network security groups that allows outbound internet communication, and this is by default. You have outbound from Azure to any internet. So always remember that if you do not want your Azure resources to connect to the internet by default, you gotta override the default rule. Now in the next few steps, we're gonna create inbound security rule that is gonna allow remote desktop protocol RDP traffic to the subnet. This rule overrides a default security rule that denies all inbound traffic from internet. Okay, so RDP connection is really considered not secure, and there should not be any reason why you should have direct connection to a production environment, just for your own information. So what we will do, we'll go to NSG private. So we are still in here, and this time we are gonna work on inbound security rules. Okay, so we're done with the outbound. We're gonna go back to the inbound security rules, and we're gonna allow 3389. So let's see, hit add. From any source port range is 3389. Actually, from source any, destination is any. Let's see, here is RDP is here. So RDP, if I choose, it should take care of a lot of different things. Let's see how they are asking us to do. Any star virtual network. Okay, so that's the way they're asking us to do. Any star destination virtual network, and service, let's do custom 3389 TCP, and we are going to use 1200 and allow RDP all. So 1200 and allow RDP all. So again, if you look from anybody, from any source port, if they're trying to connect to the virtual network having port 339, let that port be open for any type of TCP connection, allow this access. Okay, so hit add, and that is going to allow and open up the 3389 in this particular NSG. So once this is done, we have created the NSG, but it's not associated with anything yet. So we have to associate the NSG to a subnet. So if you come over here and go to subnet, there is nothing is associated. So we're going to click on associate, and we're going to select which one do you want to associate, which first you have to which virtual network. So click on this virtual network, then it will tell you, okay, in this virtual network, which subnet do we want to assign this. So which one do you think? We are gonna click on private, is where we want to assign this rule, and hit OK. Okay, so let's think about what we have done so far. Okay, we created a couple of subnets, a public and a private. We created the NSC rule that blocks traffic to internet, but that allows outbound traffic to any storage account. Now we also added an inbound rule that will allow 3389 traffic to the private subnet. That's a little weird. I was thinking the 3389 will be open to only public subnet, but let's see what else do we have in this lab. So next we're going to create a storage account. So in the same folder, let's see if there's anything crazy going on in here. So okay, so let's just create the storage account first. So what we'll do, we'll just go down to the resource group where we're working on 12. In here I'm gonna go create marketplace, and then where is my storage here? Storage. Gee, there are so many storage accounts. I'm just gonna search for storage. Not here. Gee, let's just do this storage account and create, and choose the right resource group, and lab 12 store. Oh, dash you cannot use, lab 12 store 21. I think that might be unique. Okay, so standard is good, and we're gonna use LRS. Let's go to advanced. We don't need to configure too much feature. Networking. Okay, networking, is it asking us to do anything? Let's just make sure, since we have a crazy networking requirement, I want to make sure that it's good. So EastUS is good, standard is good. It didn't say anything, it just say review and create. And so we are just gonna go with the public endpoint right now, and just say review and create, and then create. And once this is done, we are going to come back to the resource group, and then we are going to go to the storage account. We're going to go to the file service, and we're going to add a file share. Okay, and that is name is going to be my file share. So let it get deployed, and we'll start working with the storage account. Shouldn't take more than a minute. Okay, the deployment is still yeah, I think it's done. So go to the resource, file share. Usually you will start with containers, but in this lab they are saying just to create a file share. So you're going to create a file share, and we're going to say 10 gigs of quota, and the rest is probably default. Yeah, so hit create. So that should create a file share for you. So there we go, my file share. So that's got created. On the storage account blade, click on file share. On the my file share, click connect. So my file share, and in this one you can hit connect. So now you can actually mount this file share to anywhere you want. So let's see. On the Windows tab, copy the PowerShell script that creates a Z drive mapped to the file share. Record the script. You will need this later in this lab in order to map the file share for the Azure virtual machine on the private network. So copy this one, and I'm going to save it in a blank notepad file. So that is my script. So we are going to go back to the security and networking and click on networking of my storage account. So let's go back over here under security and networking. Let's go to networking and see how the network is configured. And this is how it is right now. It looks like it can be accessed for all networks, and that's probably not good. So over here what we'll do, under firewalls and virtual networks, select the selected networks and add existing virtual network. So you want to click on selected network, and then you want to click on add existing virtual network. So in this one you're going to select the virtual network and then select the private one and add it back to the storage account. So this storage account can only be accessed from this particular virtual network. Even within this virtual network, it can only be accessed from this particular subnet. Okay, and that's it. And then you say save. Okay, so we got that. Note at this point the lab you have configured a virtual network, a network security group, and the storage account with files here. Yeah, we have done that. Next, we are going to deploy a virtual machine into the designated subnet. So you will create 2 virtual machines in the private subnet and 1 in the public subnet. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to virtual machines and we're gonna start deploying couple or 3 virtual machines really. So let's just go and see how the virtual machines are deployed. Should be like a very simple task for you by now. Hit create virtual machine. We're gonna configure the first one as my VM private. So this is gonna be under 12 my VM private, then local admin, account name local admin, then our most secure password, copy, paste, and public inbound ports we are gonna select none. Go to disk, nothing to configure. Go to networking, so that's where we need to go. And in here virtual network private is where we want to deploy, and it's going to get the public IP. I think these are all good. NIC we said none, that's good. And then next go to the management. Under the management we really don't have to anything, just say advanced and review and create, and then create if the validation is successful. Okay, that's good. So we're gonna create this virtual machine. That's our first virtual machine. Okay, so the next we're gonna create another virtual machine. This is gonna be a public virtual machine. So let's just go in here, go back to virtual machines, and virtual machine this time same resource group, name is different, and over here we're gonna get local admin and the most secure password that we have, and none, and disk networking, and this time we are going to use public and my VM public IP, and none, and create. Gee, the last one we should have changed that one to my VM private IP, but it's okay. You're creating a public IP and you're calling it private IP. That sounds a little weird. Anyway, so we got 2 of the machines deployed, and let's see, I thought we were gonna deploy 3 machines, but maybe 2. Let me come back over here. Let's see, this is the first one, my VM private, and then the second one, my VM public, and that's network configuration, and that's it. Yeah, I don't think you need more than two. And then test the storage connection from the public private subnet to confirm the access is allowed. So now if you come back over here, let's hit create, and while this is getting created, we can just go back, go to the virtual machine, and from the private we can get the IP address, and we're going to use our favorite Remania client to connect to this particular machine, and we'll use the local admin, and password is going to be this. You can use your RDP client, whatever you have, if you're using Windows, to connect it. I just like this client a lot, so I'm just going to log in like this, and once this is done, we are going to map the Z drive to an Azure file share within the remote desktop connection. So over here, we're gonna start the Windows PowerShell ISE. So let's see, once it's here, it just takes a little bit of time to load the server manager and everything. Server manager, and let's see if we can find, what am I finding? PowerShell PowerShell ISE. We're gonna run it as administrator mode. Okay, so in this one, the script has the following format. So we already saved the script, right? So I'm gonna open up a script here, copy the whole thing, and go over here and paste it down there. And let me just make it a little bit bigger, make it bigger, and okay, there we go. So make it big, and then what we'll do, we're just gonna run this, hit run, and it's attempting TCP connect, waiting for response, and credential added successfully. So I should have a Z drive now available to my drive. So let's just let's see, this one down, minimize, and go to my drive. Network, is it on network, is it on the PC? Alright, so this is the my file share, so this is now available to me. So if you come down there, this is the Z drive, do you see? And this is mounted to my PC, so if I want, I can create whatever and do whatever I want with it. Test drive. Okay, so it just worked just wonderfully. So that's it. Let's go back to our lab. So we have done all that. Next, from the console panel of the Windows PowerShell ISE console, run the following to verify that the virtual machine has no outbound connectivity to internet. So you can do this. There are other ways to do it as well. You can simply try to go to the web, like the browser, and type, say, google.com. Okay, let's see, google.com, hit enter, and you should not go anywhere because we have blocked the internet connection. So the other thing that you can do, as they have done, come back over here, run this only this portion of the script, hit enter, and if you see this test connection, it says, yeah, it's just not okay. So not it tried to run the whole thing, so let's just create another one, and on this one we're gonna try to run this one. Hold on. Okay, so this one, if I try to run, this is trying to run, and you will see that it is not able to connect because we have blocked all outside internet connection from this particular virtual machine, so nothing is getting back. So if I turn it down, come over here, and here you see there is no internet connection at all from this particular virtual machine. So what we have proven that from this virtual network we were able to connect to the storage account, we were able to mount it, and we were not able to go to the internet. So the last thing that we want to do, test the storage connection from a public subnet to confirm their access is denied. So let's go to the other virtual machine. So come back to virtual machine. So this is it not? Yeah, it's here. The VM public is there, and that is deployed in a different subnet where we have not enabled your endpoint. So now if we copy this public IP address and get rid of this connection, okay, so that one we're gonna close this connection, come back, get to the Remina, hit enter, yes, and we're gonna log into this machine right now, local admin, and then our secure password, and hit enter. And if we try to mount our storage account to this particular public network, we will not be able to do that because we have not allowed that. So again, we're gonna open up the Windows PowerShell ISE and where is it? It's here. So again, we're gonna, once the search is available to me, no, PowerShell ISE, I'm just gonna run it as an administrator. It's gonna open up, and again I'm gonna go get the script that I have, copy this one and create a file and put it in there, and make this one a little bit bigger and make this a little bit bigger as well, and do this to have some more real estate for me. And once we have this, I'm going to click on the run, but you will see that this script is this time going to fail because now it's again doing the same thing, attempting the TCP connect, waiting for response, and it's not, it shouldn't get any response. Yeah, it says what did it say? Access is denied. Okay, so that is not added. So if I go over here and then go to my PC, there is no Z drive available here. Even for the network, if you go, you should not find it anywhere. There is nothing connected to network, this PC, there is nothing there. But in this one, we also didn't add any NSG. So if I try to go to Google, what do you think is going to happen? It should be able to come, and there we are. So this public network, it can talk to the internet, but it cannot talk to the storage account that you have created. Isn't that wonderful? So we can get back, so I don't need any of that stuff anymore. I'm gonna just make it smaller, go back to the lab. So we have already tested, so you can also run this command if you like within this box. Where is my box? Box is probably not here, so it's here. So you can go here, create another one and paste it, and then run this. So if you run this, you're gonna get a response back this time because you're connected to the internet. So that's about it. So we are done with this lab. So in this lab we have done several things. I would recommend that you do it couple times and make sure that you understand what we did. We created one virtual network, we created a public network and a private network. On the private network, what we did, we created a storage endpoint. So if you want to connect to any storage account to that network, you have to come through using a storage endpoint. Then we created a security group and configured the security group to block all internet access, but allowed storage account access from any virtual network. If they're coming from within Azure, they will be able to get to the subnet. And then we assigned that NSG to our private subnet, and then we deployed this storage account, then virtual machines into two different subnets, and then we tested and created a file share, mounted the file share properly to the virtual machines where we have NSG attached, and we verified we do not have internet connection, but we can mount our storage account. Then we test the public facing virtual machine, and that one had internet connection, but it could not mount my storage account. So that's all about how to secure your storage. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Good luck with your exam preparation. Thank you. Have a great day.